When most people think of prehistoric creatures, the thought of dinosaurs, such as those from the Jurassic and Cretaceous period, comes to mind. But there were many other incredible animals that roamed the earth millions of years ago. Many of them died off during multiple global extinction events in the past, but there are a select few that have managed to escape death. Not only did they survive, but they also thrived and evolved over millions of years in order to live in the world where we are today. In this video, we'll take a look at 5 prehistoric creatures that are still living among us. The Goblin Shark. The strange-looking Goblin Shark, also known as the living fossil, is a really unusual type of shark most people have never even heard of. The shark was discovered near Japan in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and is only found living in deep water around 1300 meters below sea level. The Goblin Shark has a shovel-like snout, a flabby body, and a tail with a barely developed lower lobe. The bulging mouth of a Goblin Shark is one of the features that stands out the most. It can tuck under the eye or stretch forward under the nose. Its teeth are long and straggly, and the Goblin Shark is one of the only shark species whose teeth are noticeable when the mouth is completely shut because there are too many to fit. This gives the Goblin Shark its signature terrifying look. It also has the second largest eyes in the known animal world, with a diameter of 2.5 inches. Some research went into what these sharks like to eat, and the results came back with bony fish, squids, and crabs that were found in the Goblin Shark's stomach, giving us an idea of their typical diet. The Goblin Shark spread its jaws forward quicker than any other shark species when eating. It belongs to a family of fish called the Mitsukuruidae, which is a species that has existed for around a whopping 125 million years. Even crazier, the Goblin Shark is the only member of that group that seems to have managed to find a way to survive. It also has a unique color arrangement that varies from pinkish to bluish gray, and most noticeably about their skin is that it's translucent. Unfortunately, this magnificent creature may be a victim of its own success. The International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources currently lists the Goblin Shark as an endangered species, with only 300 members in existence. Hopefully, these Goblin Sharks can continue to survive and thrive as they have been doing for the past 125 million years. Triops. One of the oldest known species still around is the Triops longicaudatus, also known as the tadpole shrimp. Despite that they've been around long before humans, the tadpole shrimp's appearance has stayed practically the same for the past 220 million years, definitely making it a living fossil. Triops resemble a horseshoe crab in terms of its size, but it's pretty much impossible to confuse them for anything else because they don't resemble any other shrimp out there. While triops live in ponds temporarily, their hard shell helps in protecting them from predators. They have the ability to grow to around 10 centimeters long and have a red-brown tint, along with 2 long tails and a ton of legs that helps them find food in their muddy environment. Another unique thing about the Triop is that it has a light-sensing organ located between both of its eyes, which basically serves as a third eye. So earlier, when I mentioned that they only live in ponds temporarily, it's because these little guys can survive long droughts of up to a year with no issue. They do, however, need water in order to be hatched. Their eggs are well suited to the environment, and any unhatched eggs can remain dormant for years and even decades until another rainy season comes along. Some of you may already be familiar with this because triops can be kept as pets. In the United States, their eggs can be sold in this dormant state, and once it's been settled in the tank with water, it can take a few days before the eggs hatch and you'll see little triops scurrying at the bottom of the tank. They are, however, endangered in Europe due to habitat destruction and climate change. The Echidna. Between 20 and 50 million years ago, echidnas made their debut. As the animal was thought to have characteristics of both mammals and reptiles, it was given the name Echidna after the half-woman, half-snake monster from Greek mythology. Echidnas are one of the most amazing and bizarre creatures on Earth. With their spiky quills, they look like a cross between a porcupine, a badger, and an anteater. But these unusual animals are actually monotremes, a type of primitive mammal that lays eggs instead of giving birth to live babies. Essentially, these echidnas are closer relatives of the egg-laying platypus than they are to other mammals. There are two species of echidnas, the short-beak and the long-beak echidna. Both species are found in Australia and New Guinea. Despite their strange appearance, echidnas are fascinating animals. They have no teeth. Instead, they have a long sticky tongue that you use to catch insects and other small prey. These spiky animals can also roll into a tight ball when threatened, protecting the soft underbelly from predators. Baby echidnas, called puggles, are born blind and hairless. They stay in their mother's pouch for several months until they're ready to venture out in the world on their own. Genetic testing shows that echidnas evolved from a similar platypus-like creature, and the transition between platypuses and echidnas began between 19 and 48 million years ago. So far, the oldest known platypus-like fossil was found being over 112.5 million years old. Komodo dragons. The Komodo dragon is a living creature that has walked on the earth for millions of years. These dragons are the biggest and strongest creatures on the island and have extremely tough scales all over their bodies. When it's time for mating, the female Komodo dragon produces a special scent that the males can follow. In some instances, males would wrestle to see who gets to mate with the female. After giving birth, the females will leave her eggs in the ground where they'll hatch 8 months later. Even when there are no males around, female Komodo dragons can reproduce since they have both male and female sex chromosomes. Komodo dragons are considered to be some of the most bloodthirsty predators in all of nature, with an unrivaled appetite for prey. These dragons have venom glands that are full of deadly toxins, and once bitten, the venom does its work. The venom lowers blood pressure and prevents blood clots from forming on the wound, which amplifies blood loss. This excessive bleeding, along with the huge open wound by the dragon's sharp teeth, will eventually send the prey into shock. If the animal escapes the jaws of a Komodo dragon and manages to get away, then it'll only feel lucky for a brief moment. The Komodo dragon has an insanely good sense of smell and can track down the prey until the point it submits to the venom and drops. In a single feeding, the Komodo dragon can eat up to 80% of its own body weight. The average length of newborns is 16 inches and they weigh less than 3.5 ounces. Their early lives are difficult, and they are often killed by predators like larger Komodo dragons. Adult dragons are around 6.5 feet in length and 55 pounds in weight. The rate of their development never stops slowing down. To get out of the heat during the day, they retreat to their subpar dens where they spend the night. Researchers have estimated that Komodo dragons may live up to 30 years in the wild. Both legal and illicit hunting has contributed to a reduction in their numbers, but their shrinking habitat is also a factor. Jellyfish. Jellyfish are some of the most fascinating creatures in our oceans. They're made up of no bones or organs to speak of. These jelly creatures can be found all over, and they've managed not only to get by without brains, but hearts too, which is really something when you think about it. One theory says that these amazing organisms may date back to 600 to 700 million years ago, during fossilized times before dinosaurs even walked the earth. They can be found in both cold and warm ocean water, deep sea environments, as well as near coastlines all across the world. Jelly-like animals don't have any bones, but instead, they possess an internal framework made up of cells called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm provides strength to their bodies so they don't break easily when hit by waves or other forces. Jellyfish are actually pretty scary creatures. Their tentacles contain stinging cells that can shock or paralyze their victims before they're eaten. The mouth of the jellyfish is an opening inside this bell-shaped body, and it uses the same opening for eliminating waste. Jellyfish also digest very fast to make sure they can continue their ability to float around. A simple sting from one of these will be excruciating and sometimes even fatal. There's one particular species of jellyfish that can cheat death, called the Torritopsis dohrnii, also known as the immortal jellyfish. The immortal jellyfish has the ability to reprogram its own cells, and they can be found near the Mediterranean and Japanese seas. When death is around the corner, it starts a process that converts its cells into younger replicas of itself that ends up becoming identical to its original mature adult form. The fountain of youth made of jellyfish. Most jellyfish survive for around a year, while others barely a handful of days. The dinosaurs may be long gone, but there are still plenty of amazing creatures that have existed for millions of years and are still around today. The next time you're out in nature, take a look around and think of all the species that are millions of years old. It's truly amazing to consider how much life has evolved and changed over such a long period of time. Thanks for watching our Late Night Top 5 channel. We're a new channel and would love to have your support by subscribing, liking, or simply dropping a comment down below. To watch more interesting late night videos, click the links to continue watching more.